Hey, welcome everyone to the review of the Jabra Evolve2 65. Now, if you want to see the written version of this review, you can find a link to my website in the video description. Now, the Evolve2 series is, it's an evolved version of the original Evolve series, if that makes sense. Anyway, so let's see if the Evolve2 65 version is worth the price tag out there. Now, when it comes to the price tag of the headset, it's kind of a weird story. Here in Canada, the price ranges from $276 Canadian to $356, and it's a similar story in the US. There, the price ranges from about $250 to $274. I'm not sure why there's such a large bracket of price tags in either country. I think Jabra just decided to let the vendors like Amazon and Best Buy, whatever, set their own price tag and just kind of do whatever they want from there. So the headset has dual connectivity, meaning you can connect to a device using the USB receiver or Bluetooth. I'm very happy to write that the USB receiver is available in a USB-A and USB-C fitting. The USB receiver is rather small, especially the USB-C version, which is what I used for this review. This is great as there shouldn't be any concern about it being plugged into your laptop, and if you place your laptop in a bag with the laptop weight on the receiver. I don't think I've ever disconnected the receiver because it's so sturdy and compact. Setting up Bluetooth is incredibly easy, and I paired it with my cell phone. When you have this headset connected to a computer and mobile device like a smartphone at the same time, you can only use it for calls on one device at a time. I have experienced something odd. While on a call on my computer, if someone is calling my cell phone and I let the cell phone ring, my computer audio stops working. The only fix is to reject the cell phone call so the ringing stops. While using this headset almost on a daily basis, and that situation happening almost on a daily basis as well, over the last 2 months, I've only had that happen twice, so it's a pretty rare occurrence. Jabra claims a 100-foot range, and in my testing I was able to reach 50 feet and go one level lower than my device. What I mean by that is that my headset was in my dining room connected on the main level of my house, and I was able to go downstairs to my basement to every corner of my basement. And no matter what, I had a rock solid, stable connection. I could hear people on the other side of the call, and they could hear me, so the range is just crazy good on this thing. And to that point, not many headsets that are reviewed can accomplish that feat, so it's rather impressive. A traveler's pouch is included in the box, but it's not a hard case. Because the case is soft and flexible, it provides very little protection for the headset. That means it's only ideal to carry the headset and other accessories neatly in a single pouch. However, if you're traveling, there's a strong chance that you'll have another spot to easily organize the accessories in the single spot, making the pouch almost useless. The other accessories included are the USB receiver and the charging cable. The charging cable is 4 feet in length. There's no charging adapter for a power outlet included in the box, as you're expected to use one from your cell phone or to plug it in directly to a computer. There's also a sold separately charging stand available. The body is rather sleek and compact, whether you get the black version like I have or the beige version. Either type is attractive for a headset. If that wasn't good enough, the body feels rather solid and firm. I was concerned that this would have felt weak like some mid-range headsets do, but this one feels surprisingly good, and travelers should feel comfortable taking it with them often. The best part of the body? It's wonderfully comfortable. On multiple occasions, I've worn it for over 4 hours straight, and not once did I ever feel an ounce of discomfort. During all of those lengthy wearing sessions, my ears never got sore, hot, or sweaty. This is one of the most comfortable headsets I've ever worn. The flex of the headband is moderate. It's not the most loose I've ever tested, but not the tightest. It just seems to work just right, and it doesn't squeeze in too tight on my ears. It's one of the reasons this headset is so comfortable. While I have the headset resting on my neck, I don't really notice them. That's because I can easily turn my head left and right and without ever having my chin touch them. Since the ear cups aren't too large, I can move my head a fair amount to look down before my chin bumps into the ear cups. This isn't a big deal, especially since the ear cups aren't too large. I can look most of the way down. The top band has rather thick cushioning, which will be great for people with little to no hair. The ear cups padding has a decent thickness, and the leatherette makes it nice and soft against the ears. This point is probably the most important part that makes the headset comfortable. The ear cups can rotate forward, backward, up and down. Of course, the headband has a decent extension to accommodate people with longer head shapes. While on a call, both sides of the headphones will have a red LED light up to show people that you're busy on a call and not just listening to music, so you shouldn't be disturbed. Because the mic isn't too long, while it's in the upright position, and if you happen to be walking around listening to music, it doesn't look too odd. The left ear cup has no controls at all. Everything is on the right. On the right ear cup at the back top is volume up. Holding this button is also next track. In the middle is the play pause control, and just below that is a volume down button. Holding this button is a previous track. I find that I often press the lower volume button when I meant to press the pause button. This is due to the 3 buttons being placed too closely together. At the bottom of the ear cup is power and Bluetooth syncing. At the very bottom is the port for power. Lastly, on the right ear cup is an answer or end call button. Moving the microphone up will mute it. There's also another dedicated mute button on the right ear cup near the top front. This headset features a media auto pause feature when you take the headset off. Placing them back on your head automatically resumes music. And in traditional Jabra fashion, there's an MS version and a UC version of this headset, which makes things overly complicated for some people. Basically, the UC version is unified communication. It's designed for most communication apps, Zoom, WebEx, even Teams, and a whole bunch of other stuff. The MS version is designed mainly for Microsoft Teams. Now, the whole selling point about the MS version is that if you plug it in and you're using Teams, it'll automatically set this as your speaker and microphone by default. And it might have some custom colors coding that matches statuses in Teams. Except the UC version can do almost the exact same thing. When you plug it in for the first time, it defaults to your main speaker and microphone in Microsoft Teams. Why did Jabra do this? I'm not sure. They tend to do this for almost every headset model. It just makes things overly complicated. My rule of thumb is just go with the UC version. It's the most compatible thing with everything, and it even does the exact same function with Teams. Now, this headset does not have active noise canceling, ANC for short. Now at this price point, well, at the lower bracket of the price point, like I did here in Canada, that's not too bad. It's actually kind of expected at a mid-tier headset pricing. Now what Jabra does advertise to make up for this is passive noise canceling, which basically means that because it's an on-the-ear headset type, it'll automatically just cancel out noise simply by covering up your ears. And I have to say that it does a pretty darn good job. Almost as good of a job as most over-the-ear headset types. Remember, this is on the ear, but it works almost as good as over the ear, which engulfs your entire ear. A lot of the background noise around me, my wife talking on the phone literally right behind me or something, or the TV running, or my kids screaming and fighting at each other for toys, and most of that noise is muffled out. I don't really hear it that much. I can focus on the call that I'm on. Now when it comes to battery performance, Jabra advertises that this will last about 37 hours. Except in my numerous draining and recharging of the battery test, it was always averaging about 30 hours. Now in Jabra's defense, they probably did these tests in a lab with people mainly just using it for talking. And when you're talking to someone, they tend to pause, at the end of a sentence, and of course there's no sound being output. In my testing, I was using a mix of talking on the calls and music listening. The thing about music listening is that music is running, it's non-stop, there's always a consistent noise happening in the background. So again, in Jabra's defense, they probably did their lab testing in a different environment with just talking, whereas mine was more real world usage, a mix of music and talking. So 30 hours at this price point is still a fair amount of battery. Now when it comes to recharging, Jabra advertises it'll be fully charged in about 90 minutes, and that's pretty accurate. That's what I tend to average as well. As I mentioned earlier, the USB charging port is at the bottom of the right ear cup, and it's a USB-C fitting as well. So the weird thing about this microphone on this headset is that Jabra doesn't really have aggressive advertising saying that, hey, it has microphone noise canceling, that'll cancel out background noises on a call. And I find that strange because it works incredibly well. One of the best I've ever used in a headset, actually. In fact, I had a buddy of mine once when I was on a call, just 4 or 5 feet away from me, literally shouting at me, pranking me, so the people on my call be interrupted. They couldn't hear anything because when I apologized to them, like, hey, sorry, my buddy's acting like a doofus, they said, we can barely hear anything. It just sounds like muffled background noise. So I'm going to actually give a quick demo of what that's like in a noisy cafe environment to kind of give you an example of how good the noise canceling microphone is. But just before you jump into that, I just want to mention that generally the audio quality of the microphone output is crystal clear. It sounds fantastic. It's great for phone calls. You will not be dissatisfied. Okay, so what you're hearing now is everything through my camera microphone, and the camera microphone is usually not that good, but I just want to compare it to the microphone on the headset itself. So what I've actually done is replicate a noisy cafe type of environment, so you hear the background noise being picked up on my camera microphone. And we're going to do now is switch over to the Jabra Evolve2 65 headset, and you can get an idea of what it's like in terms of the background noise cancellation, how it kind of tries to isolate everything except for my voice. So I'm going to stop talking for now so you can kind of get an idea of how much noise is being suppressed. And as you can see, that the performance is pretty stellar in terms of background noise canceling. Now the speaker performance of the headset itself, just listening to someone on a phone call, sounds really good. Of course, that depends on the person on the other end having a good microphone, but for call quality, incoming, sounds great. Now in terms of media, let's say music in general, mids and highs sounds pretty good. Bass is a little lacking, but I use a software, which I'll dive into very shortly, to just up the bass on the equalizer, and it performs a lot better than I expected. For a headset, the bass is actually not bad. Of course, you had to adjust it manually, And of course, that carries over to performances for, say, action movies or video games. When there's explosions and stuff, it's not the best, but if you adjust the equalizer a little bit up, it's actually pretty good, surprisingly. Jabra has software for computers called Jabra Direct. Using this software, you can install firmware updates, turn off voice guidance, turn off the busy red light, turning off button sounds, enabling sleep mode to conserve battery, and more. There's also an equalizer mode available, like I mentioned earlier. For mobile devices, there's a Jabra Sound Plus mobile app. It's a well-designed mobile companion as it features equalizer controls, the ability to update firmware, turn the busy call light on and off, active background, white noise, and much more. Overall, this is probably one of the most favorite headsets I've ever reviewed and used. It's an all-around usage headset. Of course, obviously for making calls or playing video games, whatever it may be, but even for media consumption. If you're tight on the go and you want to switch between a call and switch between music listening, you don't have to have this headset for calls and whatever, and another headset for music. You can use this single headset for almost everything and you'll be very satisfied because even for media consumption, it sounds pretty good, surprisingly better than I thought it would. So if you're in the market for a new headset, this is probably a top contender you really want to consider. It's really that good, in my opinion, and it's my new daily driver. So that's pretty much a wrap for me. Again, you can find a link to my website in the video description, as well as my social media links. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.